time has finally come. The NASCAR playoffs are right around the corner. 16 drivers, all with one common goal. And I'm going to give you guys my predictions today. How's it going, you guys? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. That's right, I'm going to give you guys round by round my playoff predictions for this year. I'm going to tell you who's going to get eliminated and when, and then at the end of this video, I will give you my champion prediction. And we actually have a sponsor for this episode and for this segment. Big shout out to, is that really their name? Is that, oh, Pit Liquor. Ugh, what is this? This is whiskey deodorant? I feel like that's the best way I can describe this. Oh, come on, guys. I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing this the whole episode. Well, okay, this is something here. All right, but in all seriousness, yes, this is a deodorant that uses whiskey as an active ingredient. They don't use it just for fun. They use it to help kill bacteria. These bottles last for a very, very long time. And don't worry, you don't have to be 21 to try this stuff out. I think it technically is edible, but I wouldn't drink it if I were you. That's what other people have told me. Trust me, I have not drank it myself. I have not tried to drink my deodorant. I promise you. Each application lasts for almost 48 hours. Pretty cool, honestly. And yes, that is Pit Liquor, spelled, I guess, how you would think it would be spelled. Big shout out to them for coming on to sponsor this episode of Out of the Groove and for sending me this t-shirt. Do I have to wear this the whole video? Can I just? Okay, well that's a little bit better. Well, a huge thank you again to Pit Liquor for sponsoring Out of the Groove. Let's talk about the playoffs now. Enough jokes, enough playing around. We got to talk about the 16 drivers who all have a chance at winning the Monster Energy Cup Series Championship. So let's start with the round of 16. We'll talk about the drivers in it, and I'll give you guys my round of 12 predictions. All right, so to start off, here are the 16 drivers in the playoffs, and here's the bonus points they have going into this first round. Kyle Busch gets that nice 15-point bonus because he was the regular season champion. Then you see the Toyotas, though, out in full force. Top three. Busch, Hamlin, Truex, even Eric Jones back there in 10th. But there you go, a very strong field. Newman sneaks in, Boyer sneaks in. Don't have a lot of bonus points, but they snuck in. Guys like William Byron making their first playoffs ever. Really, really exciting, really great group of drivers here. All four manufacturers represent very well. Now this first round of the playoffs, we start at Las Vegas, then go to Richmond for a Saturday night race, and then wrap it up with that wild card, the Charlotte Roval. So looking ahead to the round of 12 here, I will give you guys the 12 drivers that I think will make it through that treacherous first round. In no particular order, the 12 drivers I believe that will move on past the first round are Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Kurt Busch. There you have it right there. That means I have Ryan Newman, Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola, and William Byron being eliminated early. Now let me defend some of my claims here. William Byron, it's his first ever playoff, so I give him a ton of credit for turning around from how bad last season was to how good he's been this year, how consistent he's been. I just don't see the Chevys having the speed, and Byron really has never proven at any point this year that he has race-winning speed. And given that he's kind of in a points hole, if you look, all four of these guys I picked here are all kind of in a bonus points hole coming into this thing. They don't have very many bonus points to their credit. I think it's going to be a tough hill to climb. Although Byron in his last 11 races, if we go back that far, his average finish has been 12.5, so not too bad. It's the fact that he only has one playoff point. That's really my biggest issue for Byron. Ryan Newman, again, it's a really great story that Roush Fenway made it into the playoffs. He's been so consistent, but he has 0 playoff points. Compare that to Kyle Busch, who has 45. Now, I know Newman doesn't have to beat Kyle Busch in this first round. He just has to make it in the top 12. I'm still not feeling it. I don't think it's going to work out too well. Las Vegas is a very aero-heavy track. I feel like Newman's better at the driver-friendly tracks, which maybe means the Roval will work out for him. But I just don't see Ryan Newman continuing this historic streak he's been on. Now, the reason I have Eric Almirola not on this list is, frankly, he has absolutely 0 momentum right now. His last top 10 finish was all the way back in that wonky July Daytona race. So he has been just not good for a couple months now. And I think going into the playoffs, Stewart-Haas is a little worse than they were last year. I think things do not look good for Eric Almirola. Clint Boyer as well. He was the hardest decision here. I almost had Boyer making it to the next round, and it's tough because he does have some momentum. 7th, 6th, and 5th in the last 3 races, but unfortunately, kind of like with Newman, he has 0 playoff points, and I just don't see him moving on past this first round. I mean, who do I bump out? Kurt Busch, he's been consistent throughout this entire season. Do I bump out Chase Elliott? Chase Elliott's got 2 wins, and I think he has 18 playoff points. That's a pretty steep hill to climb. I mean, Boyer's already in an 18-point deficit to Chase Elliott. Who do I bump out? It's It's a tough call here. There's a lot of really good drivers, but I think, yeah, 2 SHR cars, Boyer and Almirola, will not make it past this first round, which is going to be kind of eerily reminiscent of what Joe Gibbs Racing looked like last year, where Kyle Busch was their only driver to make it past the first round. Of course, as we saw last year, though, anything can happen. Things can be jumbled up really quick in the blink of an eye, so don't rule any of these guys out, but I think this is your top 12. Let's move on now to the round of 8, because I got a little more to say in some of these later rounds. Moving on to the round of 8, I have Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and Chase Elliott. So Larson, Bowman, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, I don't have them moving on. Basically, that whole crop, that's a crop of young drivers, all very good. I think have strong, bright futures ahead of them, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think those 4 will be eliminated. Those are the 8 I have advancing. Let's talk about that for a moment. Eric Jones has actually been running pretty well lately. Before he wrecked while running in the top 5 in Indianapolis, he had an average finish of 9.1 across the previous 10 races, which is pretty darn good, including that win at Darlington. But the tracks we go to in the second round, Dover, Talladega, and Kansas, I'm not sure Eric Jones is best suited there, especially Talladega. I know Jones won Daytona a year ago, the summer race, but typically super speedway racing just typically doesn't seem to work out too well for Eric Jones. I think that big wild card in there is going to be tough. Also, he only has 5 bonus points, and as you get into the later rounds, having playoff points really begins to matter, and Eric Jones doesn't have a whole lot. Now, Chase Elliott making it to the round of 8 might have been surprising to some of you. He has been very kind of inconsistent this year. However, at those 3 round of 12 tracks, Talladega, Dover, Kansas, Chase Elliott had top 5s in all of them when we went there earlier in the spring, including a win at Talladega. Now, Kyle Larson's another tough one here. I just don't trust him. Historically, he's been good at Dover, so that works in his favor in this round, but also historically, he's never made it past the round of 12 in his entire career, so I'm not feeling Kyle Larson. I don't fully trust him. Now, Alex Bowman finished second at all 3 of these round of 12 tracks when we went there earlier in the season. However, I don't have him on this list because, kind of like Almirola earlier, Bowman has no momentum. It has been a struggle the last couple months. He has 1 top 10 in his last 9 races. That's pretty rough for Bowman. Now, assuming he even sneaks through that first round, because he also doesn't have a whole lot of playoff points, Hendrick Motorsports is going to really have to find something if I'm going to believe Bowman's going to advance past the round of 12. I just don't see it happening, so that's why I have him there. Last guy I talk about, Ryan Blaney there. Ryan Blaney, I don't have him on this list. He's not advancing either, in my opinion. When we went to Kansas earlier this year, he had some issues. When we went to Talladega, when we went to Dover, he didn't have great runs there either. I just think in general, Team Penske is not quite where they were at the beginning of this season, and I think Ryan Blaney is going to be the first one to go. All right, so there you have it. Those are my round of 8. Let's move on now to the championship 4. Round of 8 tracks, Texas, or going in order, Martinsville, Texas, and then Phoenix ISM Raceway. So those 3 races, who will be the 4 drivers to battle it out at Homestead? Here are my predictions. I've got Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., yeah, it's a lot of Toyotas, sorry guys, and Kevin Harvick there as the 4th and final driver to make it into the championship 4 at Homestead, Miami. There you go. Bunch of veterans, as it's kind of been the last few years with this playoff format. The veterans always find their way to Homestead because it's, that's just how it is. A lot of other sports, youth matters. In NASCAR, experience matters. It is by far the most important trait a driver can have, and I think we're going to see that again this year with those 4 guys making it in. Let me talk about these guys now for just a second. This means I have Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, and Joey Logano eliminated, both Penske drivers, so no more Penske guys. I don't have any Penske guys making it in the championship 4, no Hendrick guys. Kurt Busch, great season up to this point, but I don't think he's going to make it to Homestead. I just don't think he quite has enough speed to hang with the big boys. Now, I would have had Logano probably in this championship 4 instead of Harvick, except for how Harvick dominated Indianapolis this weekend. Kevin Harvick has won now 3 of the last 7 Cup Series races. He's peaking at the right time, and Joey Logano, I just mentioned it, Team Penske in general is not as good as they were at the first half of this season. So that's why I have Harvick and SHR car moving on instead of Joey Logano and Penske guy. But that's still, this is 9 races away, so a lot can definitely change. Logano has been consistent this year. He was 2nd in the regular season points. However, in his last 5 races before his good run in Indy, he didn't have a single top 10. So Logano's been struggling a little bit. Harvick's peaking. That's why I got Harvick in and Logano out. Let's talk about some of these other guys that missed. Kurt Busch. He's had an amazing year in that 1 car. I thought he might make the playoffs. I didn't expect him to win a race, and I didn't expect him to be a true round of 8, maybe championship 4 contender. Unfortunately, I just don't think Chevy has enough to hang with the Toyotas or with Kevin Harvick in this case. If Kurt Busch is going to make it to the championship 4, he might need to sneak in and steal a win at Texas, probably is his best bet, but I don't have Kurt Busch moving on. Chase Elliott is another one similar here. Chevy's just not quite where they need to be. Chase Elliott does have 18 bonus points going into these playoffs, which could help him out quite a bit. But I think if he really wants to make the championship 4, he's going to have a great run at Martinsville. Maybe you might have to win Martinsville. That's probably his best bet to sneak in. And then Brad Keselowski's another tough one here because he's been pretty good lately, been pretty consistent. He was in the top 5 at Indianapolis before he was involved in a wreck, so he's been pretty good lately. But he hasn't shown winning speed in a while, not since the first half of the year. He's not shown winning speed. And once you get into the round of 8, round of 4, you really need to be able to win. You need to be able to lead laps on a weekly basis, and Keselowski has not really consistently done that here in a couple months. Now looking at those round of 8 tracks, Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix, he did win at Martinsville earlier this year, so that might be his best bet. If he can have a great run there, set himself up well for the next 2 races, he could sneak in. But Texas and Texas and Phoenix earlier this year, he did not have great runs at. So it's really hit or miss. I think a lot's going to be riding on that Martinsville race for Brad Keselowski. There's going to be a lot of pressure on that one race. But there you have it. Those are the 4 drivers I have making it to Homestead, the championship 4. I know it's a lot of Joe Gibbs Racing cars, but what you guys can't deny, Joe Gibbs Racing has been the best team in NASCAR this year. So let's talk about my championship prediction now. Who is going to win that coveted trophy at Homestead later this year in November? My champion pick for this 2019 season, I don't know if this will be surprising to you guys. I'm not going with Kyle Busch. I'm not going with Martin Truex Jr. Not even going with Harvick. Denny Hamlin is going to break through and win his first ever Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series trophy. That is my pick. Hamlin is going all the way. Chase Elliott fans everywhere just logged off. I'm sorry. I know Hamlin's not the most popular driver in the garage area, but he is talented and he is on a mission this year. This is the best position I think he's found himself in since probably 2010 when he infamously kind of choked away that championship opportunity. Here we go, 2019. It's a decade later. I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's going to close it out and seal the deal. But let me back up my prediction here with some stats. Now, if we're looking at his 4 wins, he does have one of those at a 1.5 miles this year. He won Texas back in the spring, and that's important because Homestead, Miami is also a 1.5 miles. It's not that similar to Texas, but it is similar in that one important characteristic. Now, talking about Hamlin at Homestead specifically, he has won 3 of the last 4 pole awards at that track, so he is good at starting up front. He also has 2 career wins at Homestead, Miami, so he's pretty good at this racetrack. Denny Hamlin's a veteran driver. I think he set himself up very well to roll into Homestead and take away this whole thing. But let's compare him to those other guys, because there's some juggernauts he's going up against. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. Those are some really good drivers. Kyle Busch and Truex have won championships in recent years. Harvick as well back in 2014, so they've all proven they can get it done here. Here's why I don't have Kyle Busch winning. Kyle Busch has been so good this year. He won the regular season championship, but he hasn't been that good at 1.5 miles. That's the truth. I mean, he's been good. I shouldn't say he's not been good. He's probably still got like a top 10 average finish at 1.5 miles. But he isn't leading laps as consistently at 1.5 miles. He doesn't have a win this year at 1.5 miles. You look at his wins, they come at short tracks and they come at, Pocono. I just think he never quite figured out this aero package at those intermediate tracks. He's figured it out, the big ones and the short ones, just not those mill-sized ones. So I think that's going to play against him. Martin Truex Jr. might be Hamlin's biggest competition in the last 2 years at Homestead. He's finished 2nd and 1st. So that's pretty good, his recent history at least. And of Truex's 4 wins this year, he also has 1 win at a 1.5 miles, Charlotte, the Coke 600 back in May. So I think Truex honestly might be Hamlin's stiffest competition in this race. But you can't rule out Kevin Harvick entirely. He is a sleeper in my opinion, if you can believe that. Yeah, his 1.5 mile finishes this year are probably the worst of the championship 4 here. But if you look at his last 11 Homestead Miami starts, 11 straight years, he has 11 straight top 10 finishes, including 5 straight top 4 finishes. Kevin Harvick is really freaking good at Homestead. Of these 4 championship 4 guys, he has the best Homestead Miami stats. So while Harvick's not maybe been quite as good as the Gibbs cars this year, he's starting to peak a little bit right now. His stats at Homestead Miami Speedway might give him the edge. I'm still going with Denny Hamlin this year. I think Hamlin's on a mission. I'm seeing things out of that 11 car this year that I have not seen in at least a decade. I think Denny Hamlin finally breaks through and wins the championship. We've been on a streak here of first-time champions. Harvick, Kyle Busch, then 2016, I guess, was Jimmy Johnson. That wasn't a streak. That broke the streak. But then Truex, Logano. For the last 5 years, we've had first-time champions win the Monster Energy Cup Series championship. I think Denny Hamlin will make it 5 in 6 years. That is my prediction, but let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think I'm full of it? Do you guys think I'm maybe close to being right on the money? We'll have to wait and see, but the first race is in just a few days, and that's when all this is going to get blown wide open, I'm pretty sure. Thanks again to Pit Liquor for sponsoring this episode of Out of the Groove. Yes, I'm wearing the shirt. I'll wear it for the outro. My ego's not that big. I'll wear the shirt, smell my pits, woohoo. I like a company with a sense of humor, and I appreciate the shirt. This is a very soft shirt, I will say that. But in all seriousness, big thank you to Pit Liquor for sponsoring this episode, and a big thank you to you for watching. Thank you for watching, everyone. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram, all that great stuff, and then a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Michael Harrison at Jeebus of the Stars, Cameron James, John Koblenz, Jason R. Long, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Mika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, TheRacingInsiders.com, Matthew Koulopoulos, Pepe Lucius, Jeremy Conklin, Emilio Garcia, Joey DiMancino, Sky Racing Forums, Bryce Starcher, Bryce Schumacher, Scott McNew, Colton Austin, and the rest of these incredible Patreon supporters. Sorry, I was stumbling over my words there. We just keep adding new and new names. I gotta memorize these new names here, but thank you guys a ton for sponsoring, for supporting Out of the Groove, supporting me, supporting the show. I really appreciate it. Couldn't do this without you. I should have another video up later this week, but I'm not sure, so you might not see me again until after the race Sunday. Maybe not see me until Monday. I'll try to do another episode probably Friday. I should have time to do an episode Friday. We'll talk about whatever news comes out this week, any more previews, predictions for Las Vegas. We'll talk about that very soon later this week. If you missed my episode yesterday talking about the Paul Menard Matt Benedetto news, definitely go check that out. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for being awesome, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.